Hey guys, welcome back. So today I'm out at the range with my good friend Jon Patton from TGC News, and if you don't know what TGC News is, I invite you to come out from underneath that rock you're living under and click the link in the description below. Jon,
click the link down below.
The link down below. I think you actually say that in the news segment.
Dude, I get a lot of people yelling at me like, hey, you're the guy that does this thing and tells me to click and yells at me a bunch. Yeah, I'm that guy. Hi, everybody. You should definitely go check out the Gun Collective. It's all over the place. It's on Full 30 especially. You should go check it out there. I know that's very important to both Tim and I. Full 30 is a great place, so definitely check that out.
So anyway, the reason we're here together, we've been shooting some videos and stuff. We get the opportunity to get together several times a year. He actually doesn't live that far away, and he's out here this week. I mean, it's easy for me to say when I'm not doing the driving, right? But it's only 2 days.
It's only 12 hours. No big deal.
It's only a month by horse. But anyway, so he's out. We're doing some shooting, and what's always fun when we get together are the conversations we have. We have two very different tastes in firearms. I mean, both of them are somewhat eclectic. I think mine's probably more mainstream than yours, but that's a matter of perspective and a good thing to argue over coffee, perhaps. but so we like different things. Now, Jon has this penchant for things that have heavy recoil.
Yeah.
And things that are brightly colored.
Things that are ridiculous. That's what I like. If it's silly and just completely ridiculous, that's what I want. And you know, to give you guys an example of what I'm talking about, this is a 4-inch barrel 5.56 AR pistol. You know, it's completely ridiculous. I actually took this, so here's a great story, real briefly. I sent this to a Cerakoter, and I said, hey, Ben, Lockhart Munitions. So I sent it to Ben. I said, hey, I want every single part a different color and make it hurt my eyes. And I think he succeeded. This is shenanigans. I love this thing.
Guys, that gun is... it looks so much like a toy that when Jon came to the house, I said, leave that one in the car because I don't want my kids thinking it's a toy because it looks just like my kids' Nerf gun collection.
You know, I've had that conversation before. I think a lot of people, you know, parents especially, get concerned about it. I don't have kids. I don't have kids in the house. I don't have to worry about it. If I did, I would probably do that. I would probably be a little more concerned. But, you know, I'm a single guy who's...
I think it's a fun gun.
So, yeah, it's a lot of fun to shoot.
As a matter of fact, the barrel's so short it doesn't even stabilize the bullet.
No, not at all. It's keyholes at like 25 yards.
Not at all.
It's completely useless.
Yeah, it makes a lot of noise. We found out it's actually the loudest gun I've ever put on a sound meter, and it spits a fireball about the size of a man. So it's actually pretty impressive. But aside from that, you also like things that have heavy recoil. That, meat tenderize you.
You know, if it's a 50 cal, I want it. It's quite simple. I have that standard set. I like things like this. So this is a 500 Magnum single shot rifle, if you want to hold that.
Sure.
This was put together for me by House of Arms, HAUS of Arms. This thing is shenanigans. 16-inch barrel. It's a suppressed 500 Magnum. I actually took a pig with this not that long ago with some Underwood extreme penetrators. The bullet went through 40 inches of animal and out the other side. It's completely, it's got some stank on it. Those, I mean, this is just fun. Yeah. You know, that's what it's all about for me. I don't like getting super serious. I want to have fun when I'm going out. And yes, I take it seriously, but I want to have fun.
How many of these are in existence?
So this is one of one right now. This is one of one. If you go to House of Arms and you ask them for this, you can get one. You know, it's not like I'm the only one that's ever going to have one, but this currently is one of one.
I think I only have one of one guns, and that's my RPD and 5.56 that Definitive Arms built for me and put their magwell conversion on it.
That thing's cool.
That thing's pretty cool. And I've run that suppressed here on the channel. I think that's my only one of one. So you have another one of one.
Yeah, I have two one of ones. if that makes any sense. So this is a Bighorn Armory spike driver. It's a Model 89. Again, 500 Magnum, case blued. It's just beautiful. It's an 18-inch barrel, again threaded for the same suppressor that's on that thing. Currently it has a Trijicon MRO on it.
Good sight.
I don't even remember how many rounds it takes, you know, 5, 6, something like that, but it's awesome. I mean, and again, this is something that I fully enjoy. I want to see that gigantic hole in the end of the barrel. That's what I want.
What is that thread pitch?
It's 49/64 by 20. It's actually the 50 Beowulf thread pitch. I have a 50 Beowulf. That was actually the first AR I ever put together, was a 50 Beowulf, of course. So I had that thread pitch and I kind of adopted it to all the other rifles. I've got more that I want to suppress. You know, it's it's a very special thing for me. I like having the guns that everybody goes, what is that?
And that
what
usually-
is that?
And that usually involves, do you have a cartridge over there?
I don't.
We'll have to show you one. The cartridges for these rifles is absolutely huge.
Yeah.
All right. So
It's a 320. We were shooting today. We were shooting 325 grain. It'll shoot up to 700 grain. So if you have,
That's
to give
insane.
you guys an example, 10 rounds of 700 grain is a pound of lead.
everything he likes to shoot is odd, but it's also large in terms of caliber.
Yeah.
And when we talk about caliber, guys, a lot of you may not know this, but a half-inch 50 caliber is as large as you can legally own in the United States without getting permission from Uncle Sam and paying your $200 unconstitutional tax to register it as a destructive device. So I think the only reason John doesn't have a, a 20 millimeter cannon is probably because he doesn't want to register a destructive device.
Well, that, and I don't have buttloads of money to pay for ammo. Otherwise, I'd probably have a 20 mil.
And what he's talking about, I think he paid like, how much is that a round? Seriously.
That's about $1.50 to $2.50-ish per round. If you handle it, it's a little cheaper, but and when I say a little cheaper, I mean it's $1 a round.
Okay, right? So, yeah, he doesn't have a whole bunch of money to spend on ammo. Meanwhile, it costs him $100 to go shoot the thing for an afternoon. So we were talking about this, and I think it was over breakfast, and it's like, you like the oddball things, and he likes these bruisers, what I've been calling bruiser calibers, and these things are, when you shoot them, you let a round off.
Yeah, it's substantial recoil.
It'll teach you how to flinch. And so I started thinking through, well, what do I have in my collection that we could come out and have some fun with that would be a bruiser, that would be a military surplus rifle? And so I brought out my Jungle Carbine. This is an authentic Jungle Carbine, probably one of the cleanest examples you'll ever see.
That thing is immaculate.
It's a beauty. It's in 303 Brit, which I did have a round out. This is a 303 Brit. It's a 174 grain projectile, and a lot of people consider this gun to be a bruiser. When this thing was in military service, the soldiers did not enjoy shooting it simply because it becomes a meat tenderizer if you had to shoot the thing all day long in a gunfight.
Right.
So much so that they went to the trouble of actually putting a recoil pad on here, but this is hard rubber that's probably about 60 years old now, and it's basically as hard as wood. So there really is no recoil dampening.
None.
So we came out to shoot these side by side and kind of get a feel for, what is the old school bruiser like compared to a new school bruiser.
Yeah, and what I really enjoyed about this thing is it kind of just, it's one of those rifles that you just kind of get taken back by. You kind of enjoy what used to be common and what used to be, it's the same reason you enjoy owning these and shooting them all the time. I get to taste that, you know what I mean? To go back in history and shoot something that's just freaking cool.
And what he's talking about, guys, is why I am such a milsurp collector.
Yeah.
Military rifle, not even milsurp. I mean, I like modern military weapons as well. For me, even the modern rifles, even an AR-15 that's configured as accurately as you can possibly get to an M16A2 or an M4A1 carbine, something like that, I appreciate that because that's what people have fought wars with, and that is what kept us free for our 200 and some odd years of existence, but also in the case of our allies, Great Britain and their holdings, shooting their history, their rifles that, are extremely historical.
Right, and when you start kind of trying to run it fast, you kind of get like, you feel like you're trying to do something with it, like they used to back in the day. You just kind of get sucked into history, and that's something that I fully enjoy,
I think a lot of the modern shooters out there, I think probably for most Americans, their first semi-automatic rifle is going to be an AR-15, which is 223-556.
Sure.
And when you shoot an AR-15 compared to one of these, it's like shooting a BB gun versus a howitzer. Okay, so there really is no recoil. I kind of get a chuckle out of all this marketing and all this R&D money that goes into building muzzle brakes for AR-15s.
And they all end up being very similar.
They do. And I will say that they do help keep the muzzle flat, especially for game guns.
Some work very well.
At the expense of deafening your neighbor on the firing line.
I don't know anything about that.
Yeah, right? So, but I mean, a lot of modern shooters that are just coming into the shooting sports that haven't yet developed a taste for old classics like this Jungle Carbine or the modern bruisers like John likes to shoot, they really don't know what recoil is. And you hand them one of these guns, and the first time they shoot it, like when we shoot these things, we're like, bam, oh, that's cool. Bam, that's fun.
Yeah.
I walk away, and I don't even know that it's really that much recoil until I go home and take a shower at night. I take my shirt off, and in the mirror, I see big red stripe from the butt pad that's, basically tenderized my shoulder.
Sure.
So it's kind of interesting, if you're a new shooter, first of all, mill SERPs are very easy to get into. Mosin and Gants are still readily available. It's definitely a bruiser. If you get an M44 carbine, which is about this size and 7.62 by 54R, that's a bruiser. But for those of us that shoot them all the time, it's really not that much. I would say it's about like taking double-aught buck out of a 12 gauge. It's very similar to that.
Sure, and guys like Tim and I, we don't show recoil very well on video.
No.
You shoot a gun that's substantial recoil, and you're just like, it just looks like you're shooting something normal. And I kind of, you can generally tell when you're getting down range and you're shooting something. You can generally tell if it's gonna beat you up.
Right.
And this, I said, 100, 150 rounds of that, and you're not gonna want to shoot it at all.
If you had to fight a war with this thing, and you're of average stature, keep in mind, the average height of soldiers, even just 80 years ago, 60 years ago, the average height of man continues to go up. I'm 6'4", but if you take a look at the Japanese soldier whose average height was like 5'4", and they're shooting 7.7 Jap, I mean, that is the equivalent of like an 8mm Mauser.
Yeah, they're getting rocked.
They're getting rocked by those rifles, and trying to teach a grunt how to use that weapon, taking in a conscript and giving them something like that and trying to teach them recoil management,
I can't imagine what it was like having to shoot tons of ammo out of these rifles.
Yeah.
You think back to look at how much ammo we're currently putting down in training.
Yep.
Just massive amounts of ammo. Think of that translated back in the day
right.
with a rifle that has substantial recoil.
Yep. Which is probably one of the reasons why you'll find Enfields in 22 caliber, they're called military training rifles. Even the Japanese had training rifles that a lot of people mistake as being functional rifles. They'll actually chamber a live round and then they'll blow up when you pull the trigger. But they had training rifles to offset the cost because ammunition's expensive to manufacture, but also because it's probably easier on the soldier a little bit. They're not having to endure that recoil
right,
over
they're
and
not
over
getting
again.
Beaten up every day.
They're learning trigger discipline and sight alignment without getting their shoulder beat to death. But yeah, anyway, so that's why we came out today, was do a little bit of shooting with these rifles and just have some fun and talk to you guys about kind of the different tastes we have. They're similar in some regards because I do like a lot of the carbines. I do have M44s. I do have this. I have an M95 Steyr that's also known for being a heavy recoiling rifle. And then, John, of course, brought out his, meat tenderizers.
The ridiculousness over that. I think what's really cool about these is you get to experience so many different types of technologies and thought processes. Mm-hmm. I'm a geek when it comes down to it. That's part of the reason Tim and I get along so well, is we geek out on the technology and what it took to create this. I mean, they didn't have CAD.
Right.
They didn't have computer-aided stuff, and they couldn't do it on CNC. This is the kind of stuff that real men shot and real men made back in the day, and that's what makes it so cool for me to, just enjoy and shoot.
Absolutely. Well, hey, man, I really appreciate you taking the time to come out this week. It's been a lot of fun. Guys, if you don't have, or if you haven't already, went by and checked out TGC News, the Gun Collective, please do. Again, the link is down below.
You should definitely do that.
Yeah, I mean, really, please do that. Click the link down below. But if you have any questions, guys, stick around. I'm sure John will swing by, also post or answer questions you guys may have for the first couple of days, as I will. Also, if you haven't already, please swing by and check out Copper Custom. If you would like to support the Military Arms channel, it's the best possible way. We have patches and things like that. And also, as John already mentioned, please swing by and check out Full 30. We've taken all the web's best content creators like John sitting over here. We've brought them under one roof that is firearms friendly, and that is full30.com. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll talk to you guys soon.
See you guys.
Until next time.